So just trust. I had a few dreams the other night and they were odd. It was like these entities were like low key following me. They were like, you know, what movie is that? And they like we're having a quiet fight, like it was like quiet, like low key stalking. And I was just like, why are they following me? It was just so odd. And then I guess because I can't really go shopping in real life, so I guess I was shopping in my dreams. But it was just the oddest experience. So I was like, well, whatever. So as normal, I just keep doing what I'm doing, and just mind my business. And the first dream was telling me that those who you hold near and dear to your heart really don't hold you near and dear to their heart. And I learned that people will keep you very close in order to siphon off of your talent, off of your energy, off of your unconditional love, because they're unable to create that. So what they would normally do is find an individual who is able to do that, and from there they will siphon off it and pass it off as if it's their own energy. Just odd, because why would you not want to be yourself? Like, why would you want to be anyone else? But anyhow, that first part of the dream taught me that lesson. Then once I was able to get out of that situation, the second part of the dream showed me another lesson. And that was when the entities was following me, and I'm just like, just trying to buy some sneakers, like just minding my business. It was the oddest store, like a dope store, but it was like the oddest store because it was very industrial, which is a really cool place to shop. But the elevator had no ceiling, so it's like low key chocolate factory, but without the glass ceiling. Like it was, that was a weird experience on its own. But I got my sneakers and then I left. But this individual came up to me. He wanted to see what I had in my bag. I don't know what they were looking for. I thought that possibly they were looking for money, but why would you want to steal money when somebody is? I don't know. It was just weird. So then I got to another location, to the next stream, and it was like the coolest newsstand. It was like the coolest newsstand ever. And I was supposed to purchase this magazine like way back, and I knew that it was a limited edition, but I thought like, oh, I'll just purchase it the next day. I came back the next day to my newsstand that I usually go to when I would leave work, like years ago when this magazine came out, and of course they were sold out. And I'm like, Marky, like you should have purchased it then, but I didn't. But in the dream, I had a chance to actually look for it, so I was really excited. And those same entities were now like plural, like these, I don't want to say entities, they were humans, they appear to be, but they were multiplied now. Like it was more than just a few of them. Now it's like a many of them at the newsstand. And I'm just like, what do y'all want? I'm I'm just buying some sneakers, trying to buy a magazine. Like, what do you guys like? And so they come up to me, they grab my bag, they look through my bag to see what I had, which was just the sneakers. And I think I bought like a pillow. And I'm just like, what? And then it's like, she doesn't have it. Like, she doesn't have anything. Like, and they didn't say she doesn't have anything. It's just like, she doesn't have it. And then they left. And I'm just looking. I'm like, why in the world? Like, what? What is this about? So then the lady in the newsstand, at the newsstand, I was like, well, do you have such? And she's like, yeah. I was like, well, do I have to pay before I come in? Because she's like, no, just come on in. I was like, okay, thank you. When I walked in, it's like the newsstand kind of disappeared, kind of. It became just like a dock. And then I saw somebody who I literally like shouldn't be idolizing, but I love her music, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I'm like holding on to my bags. I'm like, forget the newsstand, because I'm like, it already disappeared anyway. So the lady's just standing there at the dock looking at me, and I'm about to chase after this woman. Like, I love her music. I just want to tell her I love her music. And she's looking at me like, just go ahead. Like, so I'm already running, even though she's like, go ahead. And so I'm calling her name. I'm trying to get to her or whatever. And then it she didn't disappear, but it's like she wasn't walking fast, but she kind of like sped up. Like, I don't know, it was odd, because once we got past this long dock, it was like the newsstand disappeared. Now it was just like this long dock and beautiful water on the opposite side of it. And I'm like literally chasing her, and she's walking just regular and at a normal pace. And then once we get to like this area, it was like this beautiful community. And I don't know how to even explain this into words. It was like a barrier, but it wasn't visible. It was like a barrier of protection of like energy. And so as I'm walking, I literally drop to my knees, like, because I'm looking at the area, like the community. I'm like, this is so gorgeous. And I'm stopping, because of course she just kind of like almost disappeared, because by the time I got around that bend to get to the community, I didn't see her anymore. But I'm just standing there now in awe, because of the people, the way that it's structured up. It's beautiful. And it makes me think about when they say gated communities, like you have to be able to get on a board, you have to be able to make a certain amount of income in order to be a part of this community. You have to, all these different things that have to be able to have, and somebody has to also be able to voucher for you, and a reference, all these things in order to get into these communities. And once I got there, I attempted to walk, and then that's when I dropped to my knees, and I couldn't get back up. And so when I turned to look over to my side, I saw two men sitting in a chair, two older men sitting in the chair. And the other guy nudged the other guy, and the other guy pulled out like this camera with this big flash, and he took a picture of me. And I'm just looking at him, and he's looking at me, and he's like, like, I don't know if I was supposed to wake me up, or I don't know, but it didn't do anything. All I know is I couldn't stand up. So once I was able to try to get up or whatever, I was able to stand up. That's when I just walked through to see what was going on. And I guess they looked at each other like, well, it didn't work, so whatever. And so I just kept walking, and that's when she came back out. But I couldn't, this was the oddest thing, because the people there, they were so gorgeous, and they were dressed so amazingly, and the community was so beautiful. And when it's like, it reminds me of, like, again, Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, because when he had all these little munchkins around him, but these wasn't munchkins, like, these were just like little people, but they wasn't like, their bodies, they look like little babies, but they were grown. Like, when you look at the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Munchkins, like, they have, even when you look at little people, they're still developed. They're just shorter, they're just miniature size. But these individuals were not developed. They were like literally babies. Like, they had to be at least maybe 2 years old, maybe like 1 to 2 years old, the way that their bodies were developed. But they had grown man voices. And they were dressed like grown men. But and I've been around little people, like, their bodies are not shaped like that. Like, they're grown people. Like, I've had conversations with them. Like, they, I've worked around them, that they've been customers. Like, I've interacted with them. I've sold them things. They've been, like, I've had clients. Like, these were not these were like, I want to say, what we ideally think a cherub is, or how they've been depicted as during the Renaissance paintings, versus how they are described in biblical scripture. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Even the whole point of with me falling on my knees, but which they would say that you're in the glory of God, but I'm just like, what the heck, So she comes out, but all I can see is her legs because there's so much light around the top of her. So even when the door opens, you're paying attention to the little miniature individuals that are coming out. And I don't want to say they're little people because they're not. They wasn't little people. They were like little grown babies. And so they're coming out, and they were like what do you call those people back in the day? They would say they were the town criers. Like, they would get you very excited. Like, now it would be considered a hype man before a show, so they would get you pretty much excited before you are to see the king and the queen. So but this was different because they were coming out with collection plates, like as if we were in church, and all you saw was her legs in this beautiful dress. And it was like something was trying to wake me up so that I couldn't see her or be there and experience it. But they were they were collection plates, and they were paying tithes, and that's what they were doing. And I'm like, this is an odd service, like an odd church service, because nobody gave a sermon. But I'm happy that I got to dream that. I feel like there were lessons in each situation. At first I was like, is this like a depiction of Mammoth, like where you're praising and worshiping money? But to me, it more so kind of gave me the ideal the idea of when you go to church and you have a pastor, and there's a break in order to collect tithes. And I don't know, I don't think I should keep talking about this, but like, I think the message behind all of it is, one, the first dream is letting me know that those that I hold near dear to my heart really doesn't feel the same way about me. It's not reciprocal. Two, there are individuals that are willing to take any and everything from you because they do not care, and they were there before I got even to the newsstand. So it's like they would find ways to find out information about you before you even know what's happening. And I thought it was odd that they were able to get inside the newsstand, but once they found out that there was nothing that they can take from me, or that I didn't have anything with me. And I mean, there was another dream that I had before where someone gave me, an individual gave me money, and when I was leaving, someone else took it from me. So I don't know if maybe it goes back to when they say God will provide for you. So you provide manna, like the bread from heaven, and perhaps maybe they thought that that's how I was shopping. I don't know how I was shopping. There was never a transaction of money. There was just me wanting something, and I was able to receive it. I really wanted a new pair of sneakers, and there it is. I had them in my hand. So perhaps, like, that's how that goes. Like, maybe they wanted to steal the manna that God was giving me from heaven.